If it seems like a short time ago we were talking about this defense being one of the best in the NFL, it's because it was. It was just about 7 or 8 weeks ago. Well, that was you in the Fanboy podcast. I never really thought this would be anything but an average unit. Turns out it looks like we were all wrong. Coming into week 7 of the NFL, we have gone back to the days of Rob Ryan. That's right. Dead last in the National Football League. But why? Well, interestingly enough, that's the main topic of today's show. We'll also take a look at much more positive topic. The LSU Tigers and their prep for Arkansas is that to try to hold on to the boot. And Tulane, well, they should wipe the floor with Rice, right? It's Wednesdays with Gabe, and we'll end the show on a, positive note. It is almost the start of Pelican season, and we got something important to tell you. And in case you haven't noticed, that's right. It is just 1 week to the start of regular season. The Pels are 0-0. We'll see what they can do. No, yes, 0-0. And it's about 30 seconds from the start of the Dattitude podcast. Cue Mr. Anselmo. Here he is right now.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, New Orleans? Hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there who are counting the minutes until the next unknown running back scores twice on the Saints. FYI, the Broncos' third-string running back's name is Audric Estime, in case you were wondering. Maybe it's him, who knows? Nothing but first string here, and we are Dattitude, episode number 295, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, October the 14th, 2024. I am your host, Jim Derry. Gabe Henderson's in the backdrop. He'll be on in a little bit. Whether you're watching on one of our NOLA.com social media channels or listening to the podcast on demand, as always, I thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family. Really? We're not talking about baseball. I mean, they're still playing the 2024 season, numbnuts. Get out of here, UBN. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Good morning, Jerry. Yeah. I'm going to start calling you Kramer. I don't know. Maybe you're George. I don't know. Dylan, they didn't give up 600 yards. It was 594, okay? It was not 600. Stop it. Good morning to the Hoodats. And thank you. I'm your favorite Saints podcast host. Don't tell anybody that. The fanboys might get upset. Brian, good morning. Just trade Lattimore and Kamara and get something for them now. You're not going to get anything for them. It's a problem. Just not. Maybe. I doubt it. Douglas Thornton, good morning, my brother. Charles says he's on YouTube now. Oh, I'm sorry. George Costanza is on YouTube now. All right, Costanza. Glad to have you. I do have the sweatshirt on, but that doesn't mean you have to be talking. I don't know where I'm at. You know what else I got? I needed some pick-me-up this morning. Got the pumpkin spice. It's lukewarm, and I don't give a damn. It is beautiful outside. It is like, you walk outside and you almost forget that the Saints suck. That's how nice it is outside. You want to be called Kramer? Okay, you'd rather Kramer. You got the hair to be called Kramer? You got to have the hair. All right. Anyway. Now let's get down to the specifics. By the way, I know I pissed a few people off on Monday. I wasn't trying to piss you off. Have you ever learned that we tell it like it is here? I mean, isn't that why most of you come? I think there's got to be a couple. I wanted to know the people that just stumble on this podcast and that they picked Monday. Monday was the first time they ever listened to the show. What is this dude doing? He's got some nice graphics. Yeah, let's turn who the hell is this dude? How much coffee did he drink? You just picked the wrong day to listen to your first show. That's all. You can be a part of the show by typing in your comment on YouTube or Facebook. Like Charles did. I mean, Kramer. You can subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, we ask you to merge over. It's growing, man. The subscribers are growing every day. Be a part of that train before it's rolling so fast. You can't even hit subscribe because there's so many subscribers. The button's just like, it's blinking when something's going on. It's just like blinking. Do it now. You'll always know when we're going on the air live Monday through Friday, except Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Time. Or if you have issues with graphics and Gabe tells you with 50 seconds left, you got the wrong over-under on LSU and you got to fix it, maybe 11:01. Who knows? Then you fumble through your open, but you would have never known any of that. That's how transparent we here on Dattitude. Sign up to the YouTube page. You can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or via email, jderry@theadvocate.com. Yeah, they most certainly did, Brian. They got a dose of reality on the Saints. People, sometimes they don't like reality. Charles, you're getting ahead of me. I was going to bring that up. What do I think about what Loomis said to Bobby Hebert on Monday? I'm going to get to that. DA can lose by 70 and he'll still have a job. That's on the list of things to talk about today. I mean, look, here's the thing. Doug, tell it how it is. The Saints have been horrible for some time, poorly led with no leadership. Good morning, Jerry. Welcome. Thanks for being here. You're on time this morning. We missed you. Jerry. We missed you. I know you were out for a little bit. I'm glad you came back. Here's the thing about, I do want to bring that up. I've been telling y'all now, fired Mickey and DA. It's not going to happen. Look, you want reality. This is what we come here for. This is what this show is about. I tell y'all the way that it is. Not the way that you want it to be. Not the way that I want it to be. Not the way that Fanboy wants it to be. Not the way that anybody wants it to be. The way that it is. Tell me when I've really been wrong so far. Where have I been wrong so far? I mean, I know a lot of you think I'm wrong about Derek Carr, but that's fine. That's opinion, speculation, whatever. We're not going to get into that today. We're not going to do that today. But I've told you that the Saints are loyal to a fault. You want DA to be gone, should it be gone? I don't know. And look, I don't know how else to say this. Once you start a season with a coach, whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision, and I think we know what the right decision would have been. And this team's just stubborn and I think it's almost not just loyalty. They like to have a chance to prove that they're right about stuff. They're not always right about stuff. In fact, they're wrong more than they're right. But they're not going to do anything. Don't set yourself up to be miserable for the next 10 weeks or whatever. Enjoy whatever it is you have. I mean, we could say whatever we want, but they're not going to make a move, most likely. It is way against the odds. That's why when you see these odds that say Dennis Allen's, he's plus whatever to be the next coach fired or the first coach, not going to happen. Yeah, Charles Schulman, he's not going anywhere. Not anytime soon. If this continues like we predicted in August, in 2 games, really didn't change my opinion all that much. I was trying to believe like y'all were believing. If you go back and look. I'm not just saying that. I mean, I was enjoying. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the 2 wins. Jeff says, yeah, man, that's why he's here. He wants the franchise to turn around. No quick fix. No Band-Aids. Done with forethought. And you know what that means, Jeff? And I know you know this, and I know a lot of you know this. That means, like, really cleaning house and really starting over. Are you ready for that? Taylor DeMarco has been saying it for 2+ years. It's a long comment, my friend. You blame DA all we want. Reality is bottom 3 GM. Mickey Loomis has been impactful. The clipboard holders playbook, the worst salary cap for a decade plus, 0 depth, boom or bust draft picks. It's past time to clean house. How many cans do you have to kick? I've been super kind and super nice to Mickey Loomis. I'm not sure why, to be honest. Those two big wins look so much worse. Now we know who the Panthers and Cowboys really are. I don't know. If you kick the Cowboys' ass like the Saints did, that still says something. It shows that they can do it when they're healthy. There's so many things that go into what is going to make this team successful. And look, we're going to spend today's going to be 70% Saints instead of 90% Saints. We got to talk about LSU and Arkansas, and I'll touch on Tulane. I mean, they're 21.5-point favorites. And we're gonna finish the show off with the Pelicans. And I know Wednesday's not a big day for a lot of people. Monday's the biggest day, and then you like to see the preview. Tomorrow we will be doing a preview show. Charles says Mrs. Benson won't do it, but she needs to sell. No, come on, man. Let me tell you right now, if you're a Saints fan, you don't want this team to be sold. I'm telling you right now. You don't want this team to be sold. Because it's not going to be sold, and it's probably not going to be kept in New Orleans if it's sold. I know there are a lot of things, and I know my friend Jeff Duncan would probably disagree with me. First of all, it's not going to get sold anyway, so we're spinning wheels here. But even if it did, there's no one around here that's willing to keep this team in New Orleans that's going to spend the kind of money that it would take. I mean, the Saints are worth, I don't know, what did we say they were worth before? It's like something stupid. I don't even know what franchises are worth now. I mean, Tom Brady can only afford 5% of the Raiders. He and a buddy chipped in and got together and bought 10%. That's how expensive it is. I even forget how much it is, but it's not going to happen. Nobody in New Orleans is going to step up. If this team gets sold, they're probably going to move. $4.4 billion. You got $4.4 billion? That means if you got 4.4 million, you need to go do that 1,000 more times. And that's just to buy the team. Then you got to eat afterwards. And then you got to buy your own sweet tickets. They could lose 4 of the next 5. DA staying. No, it's not just that, Brian. The Saints aren't a team that's going to make these kind of moves in season. It's not just how bad I told y'all this. For DA to be fired, most likely, the floor has to fall out. And we're getting ahead of ourselves because I want to talk about the defense because that's his baby. What it seems like every season, most of the players are on long extended IR. That's a whole different subject. We've talked about this too, and that relates to the Pelicans. Same training staff. People don't want to talk about that because people don't want to dive deep in. In the old days, and I've been working for the Times-Picayune in some form or fashion for all but, 13 months of the past, what is it now? 34 years? All but 13 months. The 2 times I got laid off. I think you could add in a couple other months. So probably 15 months. 15 months out of the last 34 years, I've worked for the Times-Picayune in some form or fashion. I can tell you that back when I started here, they would do a deep dive into the training staff of this organization. No one wants to do that now. I'm not calling out us. I'm not calling us out because it's a different world now. There are so many different news outlets that the Saints, and not just the Saints, every organization. Look, the Saints have gone out of their way to give me access when they probably don't have to, and give a lot of other people access when they probably don't have to. So I understand why there's a lot of people out there who don't want to rock the boat. Okay. It's not like before when it was just the Times-Picayune, you couldn't shut them out. And it was the TV stations and that was it. Not like that anymore. So I think people are more careful about what they say and what they look into. But I can just tell you back in 1990, we'd have done a story on that, multiple stories on it. And you're right. They did fire their old training staff. That doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying they do stuff on purpose. Look, we gotta move on. Again, we're gonna spend probably 60-70% of the show on the Saints, but I do want to talk LSU. I do want to get to Gabe. And before we get to all that, we got to start with we're going to talk about LSU with the positive, brother. What's more positive than Evangeline Securities? They're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. Just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. Just as sure as eating red beans on Mondays. What do we eat on Wednesday? We got to figure out what we're going to. Didn't we talk about this before? What do we eat on Wednesdays? We got red beans on Mondays. What should we eat on? Shrimp po'? No, that's Friday. Shrimp po' boy is kind of Friday. I don't know. We're going to come up with something, whatever we want to eat on Wednesdays. I digress. It might be time to reach out to Evangelin's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemel, before my head explodes. It will maximize the value for your family-owned and privately held business. They will do that by scheduling a complimentary valuation. They have offices on Poydras Street, right across from that giant building that the Saints sometimes play football in. Sometimes they just show up. They also have offices in Lafayette, an office in Lafayette. More on this later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinsecurities.com. Kramer says jambalaya. Yeah, I could see that. Randall, you just made it. You just missed it. You just missed a great part of the conversation. Where you been, man? You'd have certainly been on that. Does he get fired if we lose Thursday? No. Were you listening? Probably not. I kind of like burger. Maybe it'd be a burger day, Chris. That's not. Where? Tell me where you at again. I'll give you a plug. Yeah, I know you're working. All right, let's move into LSU because I do want to talk about that. I'm about to bring in Gabe, and here's a comment. Jason Voorhees the Cody says LSU needs to take Arkansas seriously, not overlook them. Glad all three phases showed up last week. Kind of. I don't think the offense was that great. Old Metairie. Ground Patty. Okay. It's one of my wife's customers. You know how to get in touch with me. We'll talk about it later. Randall, beautiful day. Absolutely. Follows here. That's what I was saying before. This is kind of what led me into all this talk. As you see me, I'm all over the place this morning. The weather is so pretty outside. I almost forgot the Saints suck. Almost. All right. We were about to talk about LSU, so let's get into it. Gabe Henderson. I'm going to let you say whatever you want. It's Wednesdays with Gabe, but let's first talk about LSU and your thoughts. And I know that you feel the same way that I do, that you're worried that this could be a trap game. I mean, here's my thing about this game, and this is my kind of prediction. I think that you're getting value. When they drop this line below a field goal, I know it's possible, but I don't see this LSU team under Brian Kelly losing this game. I mean, I'm more worried about Texas A&M than I am Arkansas because I think Texas A&M is actually talented. But I think Arkansas is kind of overrated just because they had their big win against Tennessee at home a couple of weeks ago and they stormed the field and blah, blah, blah. I just don't see Brian Kelly letting this team forget about what's important.
I think I'll take it a step further. I don't see a Sam Pittman coach team racking up 2 top 10 wins. Brian Kelly runs circles around Sam Pittman as a coach.
There's no
and
doubt
I don't think Brian Kelly's going to let this be a trap game. He knows how tough Arkansas is. LSU's won by 3 points the last 4 games. I mean, it's just this isn't. I wouldn't call this a trap game. And on the Texas A&M comment, I've said since the beginning of the season, I think at A&M is a game that LSU loses this year. I hope I'm wrong, but
real quick, off topic.
Mm-hmm.
These are my favorite kind of people right here. This is not on the topic that we're talking about, but I'm going to go back to the Saints for like one brief second. Courtney says, I said Carr was the answer when they signed it, so please keep my opinion to myself. I'm not sure whether you can read or not, Courtney, but if you look up in the left-hand corner of your screen, it says Dattitude with Jim Derry. In other words, this is my show. So the chances of me keeping my opinions to myself are about the same as Sean Payton coming back to the Saints.
Or Spencer Rattler winning a Super Bowl.
I like it. Very good.
Saying Derek Carr is trash is just probably the most ignorant thing we'll see all day.
Oh, no, there could be way more.
Courtney, let me ask you a question. Is Patrick Mahomes trash? Is Patrick Mahomes trash because Derek Carr's been better than him this year?
Oh, you can't say that. That's
The
blasphemy.
QBR speaks for itself. Patrick Mahomes
Blasphemy.
just has one of the best defenses in the league.
Blasphemy. All right. Anyway, back to Ella. Well, we try to keep it real, Adam. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, me keeping my opinion to I don't keep my opinion to myself when I'm like driving in a car. So I'm probably not going to keep it to myself on my show. Just saying. All right, real quick, LSU, and I agree everything you say. Sam Pittman is, I mean, there's a reason why he's coaching at Arkansas.
I'm amazed he's still the coach.
It is kind of funny. So anyway, I think this is great value. I think LSU is going to win by double digits. So I didn't put it in my best
You're
bet.
more confident than I am. The thing that I love here, the value that I love here is the under. These teams have only combined to score 55 points twice, and that was in 2019 and last season when LSU's offense was led by Heisman winners. These teams are just, this is a scrappy game. It's always ugly.
It could be ugly. Yeah, maybe the under is the way to go if you want to.
No, Hakeem, I'm not saying that Carr is better than Mahomes.
We'll get back.
But I'm saying that Carr has a better QBR this season than Mahomes. That's all.
That's fact.
That is a fact. That is not an opinion. That is a fact.
I mean, it's literally a fact.
Yeah.
So take it for whatever you. It's funny. And another thing about like when you call up stats, people say, "Oh, stats. They don't mean jack." But then 3 weeks later, when the stats are reversed, they'll start spitting stats out at you. Oh, look at the stats. I'm like, well, I thought stats didn't mean anything. Oh, now you're using a different name.
Well, so just back to LSU and the offense.
Yeah, really. I got just sidetracked. Sorry.
The good news for LSU is it was being reported by our Wilson Alexander earlier that it looks like CJ Daniels is on track to play. And I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath. But Chris Hilton is moving in a positive direction.
Yeah,
as well.
I believe that. Why would you start him this week? I would rather you wait and use him against Texas A&M. He's missed half the season. You might as well wait one more week to when I think it's more important. I just don't get this line. LSU's. So that means that at Tiger Stadium, LSU would be about a 6.5 point favorite. You can't tell me that LSU shouldn't be at Tiger Stadium probably a 8 or 9 point favorite. Is this just because is this because you're trying to draw people in? I mean, this is almost begging you to bet on LSU, which kind of scares me, I guess. But
I think I think there's a few factors at work here. I mean, like I said, the last 4 games have been decided by 3 points. Arkansas, say what you will, no matter which coach is on the sideline, Arkansas knows how to play LSU close. They know how to make it ugly. Yeah, they know how to make it ugly.
Whenever you involve a trophy, it usually is close. So
exactly, it's because then it's a rivalry, and this game is obviously a rivalry. I'm still pissed off, if we're being honest, that they took this off the last game of the season. The fact that LSU is playing Oklahoma the last week of the season is blasphemous, and I don't know why LSU couldn't play Arkansas, but that's a topic for another day. I think LSU's offense will be better. I don't see Arkansas coming up with 2 top 10 wins on the season at home. I don't think Pittman's good enough. I don't think the team's good enough, and I don't think Tennessee's very good either. I mean, look at what they did last week against Florida.
I thought they were, but then I've definitely changed my opinion. I think Arkansas took a lot out of them. But when you play Florida like that, it kind of says anything a lot. Randall, you asking why you become a member or donate to the channel? Because of this, we don't want any money from you. We're gonna keep, at least for now. I appreciate the sentiment and the offer, but we're keeping the show completely free. I would much rather get sponsorship. And if any of you in a position to sponsor this show, we would love to have you. Obviously, Evangeline Securities is our title sponsor. We're Dattitude, brought to you by Evangeline Securities. But you can sponsor any segment you want, including the Saints segment. And if you're interested in finding out what a price is, all you got to do is get in touch with me and we'll talk price. So if your company wants to be a sponsor, if you want to be a sponsor, I mean, that would be kind of weird, but whatever. Just get in touch with me and we can talk about it. So plenty of chances to sponsor. Why is Hilton not playing? You feel like his injury is overplayed? I don't know.
I'll tell you, it's a case of the Cam Risings. You remember last season when Cam Rising was a game time decision in the opening game of the season, then he missed the entire year?
Yes, and I didn't expect this.
I didn't expect this either, but that's what it is with Chris Hilton. I think they're really just being careful. I don't think they expected it to take this long, but I expect him to be back relatively soon. We'll see. I think he'll be a big boost to this offense, especially the receiving core, because then you're looking at least 4 deep at receiver. You've got Kyron Lacey, Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, CJ Daniels, which I think is great. You're going to need those guys against A&M. You're going to need those guys against Alabama.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So,
and going back, I mean, I think LSU's put itself in a great position going forward with the Ole Miss win, because now you essentially have 2 games left that are toss-ups, in my opinion, and that's at A&M and Alabama at home. And as long as you can win one of those, you are in a great spot to not only make the college football playoff, but in the SEC as well. Because if Texas takes care of Georgia this weekend, then Georgia's got 2 conference losses. If LSU beats Alabama, Alabama would have 2 conference losses. And Texas A&M is
I'm with you, but Vandy scares the ever-loving hell out of me. I know they shouldn't, and it's not just because they beat Alabama. They scared me before they beat Alabama. That little Johnny football lookalike, I'm telling you, that dude.
Diego Pavia? He was last season's gambling Heisman.
He's for real. The dude's for real. I love watching him.
But
I'm just saying.
I think LSU's got the speed at linebacker, especially with guys like Whit Weeks, to be able to take care of him. They can't move the ball as effectively as everyone thinks.
I will just say this. I hope they start losing a little bit. I hope they start losing a little bit soon, because the more they keep winning, the more confidence that little pesky, they're like pains in the ass. They're like gnats. Like, get out of here. That's what they are. They're like, get out of here. They won't get out of here. So that's
I don't think they have the horses on offense to keep up with Nussmeier.
We'll see. Nick Chasson,
and especially in Death Valley.
Nick Chasson says this game is no gimme. You're right. Every year it's close. Yep. That's what Gabe just said. Took a Hail Mary last year with Daniels to win.
I wouldn't touch this spread with your money.
You know, you're stealing my lines now. Now you're stealing my lines. That's all right. I may put a couple bucks on. It's not my best bets. By the way, we still are. Tomorrow, we don't have our typical best bet show because the Saints are playing on Thursday. But what we will do is we will show you we are still making our best bets. Gabe will still come on the show. I'll let Gabe tell you his best bet. And UBN has sent me his best bets with some notes. So we'll still show them on the screen. We're just not going to spend a big chunk of the show talking about them. That'll be like at the end, and it'll be like 10 minutes. So that's how we're going to handle that this week. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about it some more on Friday. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Wednesdays with Gabe. What is your thought of the day before we move on and go back to the Saints?
I really didn't have anything prepared because we were going to talk about LSU. But one thing I do like, I think LSU's plus 125 or higher at most books to still make the playoff. And I think that's value still at plus money. I would get that before their trip to A&M for sure. But
why?
Like I said, they have a favorable path.
You know why I probably wouldn't do it? Because this is a stupid reason. But whenever I could have got a better price like a week or two ago, and they win a big game and it changes, and I'm like, damn it, I missed it. And then I'm stubborn and don't want to go back and buy it. I do think it's still a decent value because I do think it's about 50-50. I think that's where we are with LSU. I think they're about 50-50 because, like you said, I'm certain they can lose one game. And it doesn't really even matter. At this point, I don't even think it really matters what game they lose. If they go 10-2, it doesn't make a difference to me what game they lose. Maybe if they lost Oklahoma, that would like hurt them because they'd be, that would put them on a borderline and they remember late bias or whatever. But other than that, I don't know that it really matters. But
I don't think they would keep a two-loss SEC team with a non-conference schedule like theirs.
And not only that,
playing USC at a neutral site.
If they don't lose to Texas A&M, there's a good chance that even if they lost the game, they would probably still be in the SEC championship game.
I was going to say, the Texas A&M game is huge for the SEC championship because A&M currently doesn't have any SEC losses. And
Adam's right. Vandy has grit; they're durable, but Bama really isn't as good.
No, Bama's not as good as
either is Georgia.
No.
So
I don't know. I mean, Texas looks far and away the best team in the SEC. We'll see this weekend. I'm never going to count a Kirby Smart team fully out. But I mean, if they lose If they lose this weekend, Georgia will not be playing for an SEC championship.
I know people don't want to hear this, but I think Texas not only clearly the best team in the SEC, by default almost, that means you're the best team in college football. Because I thought that the only team close to them was Ohio State, and I know it was on the road, so I still feel in my mind, I think Ohio State is still the second best team in the country.
Agreed.
But they did take a small step back because Oregon, as good as they are, and I think they're a lock to make the playoffs, Dylan Gabriel, until this past week, hadn't shown me all that much. I wasn't all that impressed with Oregon. I'm still not impressed with their defense that much. And look, Oregon, are they a top 5 team? Yeah, I think they are. They proved something to me this past week. But I still think that Ohio State and Texas, if you're asking me who's going to make the national championship, those are the two teams to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't think 3 is really all that close. And I know it sounds dumb considering that Ohio State just lost. I get it. Some people are like, this dude's an idiot. I get it. You always say that. That's fine. But I just think that Ohio State is number 2. Easily.
We forget Ohio State was in field goal range when they ended that.
Well,
game.
Yeah, when the dumb quarterback, Will Howard. I guess it's not that dumb of a quarterback.
Did you see the before I bounce off, the rules committee in the NCAA is investigating Dan Lanning for the 12-man thing?
I did hear about that. I don't understand it though. What's the big deal?
So he essentially,
I don't care if he did something like, if he broke the rules on purpose. Who cares? People do it all the time. What's the big deal?
Yeah, no, I think the thing is he admitted it. We give Ohio State too much credit with the mediocre schedule. Yeah, but I mean, they're winning convincingly. Aside from Oregon, they're winning convincingly. No one else in the country is doing that. I mean, Georgia beat Mississippi State by what, 10?
Right.
Mississippi State's Toledo beat them by 36.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, we're gonna certainly if the Saints suck, I mean, we can only say the Saints suck so many times when we got to show 4 times a week. We are going to transition into more college football at some point if the Saints still stinking. Kramer says Arch Manning will have a better college career than Peyton or his brother. I don't know, man. Look, I'm going to show my age here. Okay, I'm really going to show my age here. I covered Peyton, Cooper, Eli, and Arch in high school. And Peyton is by far the best of them all.
Real quick, because we're kind of moving away from Ole Miss, can we talk about how much little brother syndrome Ole Miss has by putting up the 2003 SEC West champions banner?
That's why I love beating them, because they no, if they beat up on an inferior team, that makes you good. No, that's not it. It's just
you can only beat who's put in front of you.
Douglas, we can agree to disagree. I mean, I get where you're coming from. It's point taken. Again, I think this is going to play itself out. I just think, to me, especially in college football, to me in all football, really, not just college, because it works the same way in high school. To me, it's about an eye test. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll see a team and I've been covering high school probably for the majority of my career, because it's the same way at any level almost. To me, you can look at a team and you can see a record and you're like, when they play somebody good, they're going to get their ass kicked. And that's kind of like how I feel about certain. And the same as, I don't care. There are certain teams that I look at and say, no matter who they play, I'm probably going to pick them to win, even if I'm wrong. And that's kind of where I am with Ohio State right now, except for Texas. I don't think there's a single team in college football, if they played them on a neutral site, that I would pick to beat Ohio State.
Also, just one more comment. I let this slide, and I shouldn't have. Ohio State playing a mediocre schedule.
Yeah, they're in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they go on the road against top 5 teams.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No one. I don't think anyone else in the country does that.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
all right.
I would have to think about it. But
all right, we'll have you back tomorrow. Have your pick of the day ready. I'm not sure at what point in the show we'll do. We'll probably do it in the beginning, but I will have the overall picks of
I'll be here
at the end. We will talk to you tomorrow. See you later.
Sounds good.
All right, time to get back to the Saints. Some comments here that we didn't show. Hey, Town, it's glad to have you back. Your surgery went well. I'm glad to hear that. You back home recovering. Some good-looking nurses and the wife. Man, who the hell gives a damn about the Saints? You got good-looking nurses and the wife. Roll wave. Glad to have you back, man. Seriously. All right. Gabe, you can take over the comments from here. I'm going to try to focus on what I got. Just show them whenever. Unless I get aggravated with one of them, then who knows? Maybe. Oh, Gabe stepped away. So I guess he's not. Look, somebody was asking, I don't even remember this point who it was about Loomis. Look, what's he supposed to say about his coaching staff, though? First off, I'm not going to sit here and defend what Loomis, the results about Loomis. Okay, I'm not. But you guys, sometimes you say, what did he say? And in case you didn't know, okay, I got this called up on the screen here. Luke Johnson wrote a story on NOLA.com. I always tell you on NOLA.com/Saints, even when our guys make news on another source, it doesn't make a difference. Luke Johnson writes, and I'm quoting now, this is straight from Luke Johnson's story. I'm reading directly from Luke Johnson's story, which I feel like we can do here we're sharing, and I'm telling you that I'm doing it. So he says, quote, with the New Orleans Saints having lost 4 straight games, the last loss being the worst of the bunch, no question about that. Questions are again starting to bubble to the surface about Coach Dennis Allen's role in the team's struggles. Speaking on the Saints coaches show on WWL AM Monday evening, Saints general manager Mickey Loomis fielded one of those questions straight on from former Saints quarterback Bobby Hebert. I'm not going to read this whole story, but I do think it's important to talk about this part of it. Bobby asked, do you have to look at the head coach? We're not closing out games. We're highly competitive, but it is a bottom line business. Did you win or lose the game? That's why I think fans are so frustrated, ... 6, 7, 8 coaches get fired every year because they don't win and people want change. And Mickey Loomis said, quote, results matter. They do. But one of the things that I think good organizations do is you look beyond the results. Okay. What's the reason for the results? And how do you fix the reasons that keep you from winning? It's not always about the head coach. Sometimes it is about the head coach. Just saying. But it's not always about that. It's about a lot of different variables. A lot of things are involved in winning, and winning a particular game or winning a lot during the course of a season. We'll look at that when the time comes, but the time is not right now. Take that piece of the quote out. That's what I've been trying to tell y'all. This is the most important part of this quote. We'll look at that when the time comes, but that time is not right now. We have a lot of games left. We have a talented team, and we'll see where it goes from here. The time is not right now. I don't know how else to tell y'all this over and over again. Taylor DeMarco, Jerry Jones had that exact quote. It would be talked about on every pregame talk show for a month. Insanity. The guy is still running an NFL franchise. I don't think Jerry Jones would ever have that comment. I'm not a Jerry Jones fan. I'm certainly not. I mean, I grew up as, when you grow up and you're a fan of a team that stinks, which is what I did. I mean, I grew up in the 70s as a Saints fan. So you pick a second team, the one that's going to win. And I picked the Dallas Cowboys. I don't like them anymore. When Jerry Jones took over the team and basically fired Tom Landry, that was the end of the Cowboys for me. So, but you got to respect him. He would never say that. Brian says, like most GMs not named Jerry Jones, Loomis publicly won't call them out, or other than saying that we need to be better, but probably he's likely chewing their butts. I don't think so. I don't know Mickey well, but he doesn't seem like a chewing their butts kind of guy. Douglas Thornton, I'm so frustrated with the Saints. They didn't prepare for Peyton and Breeze leaving, and that procrastination is here now. I'm sitting in laps now. Kramer says sometimes you got to eat crow. I don't eat crow po' boys in the show. Just saying. Fire someone you hired in business. It happens a lot. I know. I've been fired. I've been fired by people who hired me. It happens. But the point is not that it happens. When do you see it happen by this crew? We talked about this on Monday. When's the last time the Saints fired a coach in the middle of the season? Not when a Saints coach resigned or left. Last time the Saints fired a coach in the middle of the season. It wasn't even the middle of the season. It was with 4 games left. I'll tell you the answer. Dick Nolan when the Saints were 0-12 in 1980. It was a different owner, and that's how bad it had to be. You're talking about an owner back then, John Meekum, who would he fired Hank Stram, for Christ's sake, after 2 seasons. That guy would fire your mama or his mama. He'd fire his mama. And even he didn't fire Dick Nolan until they were 0-12. And there was white powder, some kind of weird substance all over the Saints locker room. I'm just saying, I don't think it's controversial to say that now. Ask Archie. And they dished the entire team to San Diego or wherever. Chuck Muncie, Wes Chandler. Not that I'm bitter or anything. That's the last time the Saints fired a coach in the middle of the season. It wasn't even in the middle of the season. So you're asking the Saints to do something that they've never done. They don't fire coaches in the middle of the season. Nick Chaslin says, the biggest thing DA has against him is the absolute abysmal display of defense we've seen the last 2 games. That's his wheelhouse. When that fails, what does he really bring to the table? Glad you brought that up, Nick. If you are listening to the podcast after the fact and you can't see the screen, then you're first of all, you're missing out because these slides that I take time to figure out what to put on them. We have the NFL ranking slide every Wednesday or usually I think it's Thursday and Friday, but today we have them Wednesday and Thursday. Obviously the Saints are playing tomorrow. But look at those defensive numbers, how they continue to go down. They can't go down any more than that. I mean, if you're listening, I'll read them to you. Defense. This is yards per game. Rushing defense, 20th. Passing defense, 29th. Points scored against. Remember when that was, I don't know, it was either first or second not that long ago. It's 23rd now. Overall total yards per game, 32nd. And in case you're just a casual fan of the NFL and you don't know this, that means last. There is no 33rd. You can't be worse than 32nd. The Saints are the 32nd best defense in the National Football League. Stop talking about Derek Carr. Yep, I threw that in there in the middle of nowhere. Stop talking about Derek Carr. None of that crap has anything to do with Derek Carr. William wants to know, what do I think it will take for the Saints to give Jake Haener a legit shot? I would love to see what he can do. Spoiler alert. My prediction is been made public on bet.nola.com. NFL Picks column comes out every Wednesday morning. So if you can't wait till tomorrow to find out what my exact prediction is, then you can go read it on bet.nola.com. But I suspect that the Saints will play better and the Rattler lovers will be on fire. Not because he plays great, but because the Saints do just enough. The conversation will shift, but I will be here in the same exact place that I am right now. And I won't feel any different about this team than I feel right now. You can read through the lines. But the answer to your question, what would it take for Jake Haener to get in there? You're talking about loyalty and stubbornness, and it goes from top to bottom. And once they make up their minds, they don't really change them. From top to bottom. So, and again, in answer to your question, I think it would take either like an 0 for 13 stretch with 3 interceptions, or they're losing 20-0 at halftime. It's not going to happen. I doubt it seriously. I don't think he's going to get a chance. DA ain't going anywhere, even if they are 2 and whatever at the bye week. I don't know. If they don't win again before the bye week, I think they'd fire him then, because then there's no reason to keep him, right? Well, if you're asking, some of you don't watch the show on a regular basis, and you're asking, well, what's the reason now? He sucks. Well, I'll go over this again. The reason is, if you fire a coach in midseason, unless you're the Jets who think they're smarter than everybody else, and they're not, they still suck. Good, you traded for Devontae Adams. Whoop-de-doo. That's a whole different story. But 9 times out of 10, okay, let's put it that way. If you fire a coach in the middle of a season, or especially before the midway point of the season, you're giving up. Are you ready to give up? Because I'm going to tell you right now, even though my prediction is 7-10 and I'm going to stick with it, I'm not ready to give up. I'm not ready to give up. So if you were to fire a coach now, it means you're giving up. And for those of you out there living on a cloud or la-la land or whatever, well, if they fire him now, they could put Clint Kubiak in there as an interim coach, and then Clint Kubiak can lead them to the playoffs, and Clint Kubiak will be the head coach next year. Ain't going to happen. Clint Kubiak wouldn't get the job. It'd be Darren Rizzi. I'd be willing to bet a mortgage payment on it. Be Darren Rizzi. Nick Chasson, Loomis expects fans to pat him on the back. I don't think he expects that anymore. He's handled the cap. I don't think that's the case, really. I don't think he pays attention to what anybody says. I really don't. I know I say this, like coaches who said that they don't read press clippings, and then that's okay. You can leave it up there. That people don't read the press clippings, and then I'm like, BS. I know Dennis Allen looks at them. Mickey Loomis, I have a feeling he really doesn't read them. I don't know. Adam truly believes that the Broncos will win this. Somehow Bo Nix will throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Peyton makes a statement. See, again, I don't want to give too many spoiler alerts, but the Broncos are this is why I don't understand this line. It started off as the Saints as a favorite, and I'm talking about after the debacle on Sunday. The fact that it's going to Broncos 2.5-point favorite means everybody with money and their grandma is betting on the Broncos. I ain't going the way that everybody else is going. It worked last week for the Bucks. That doesn't usually work 2 weeks in a row. Players look like they gave up. The players can look like they gave up 1 week and the next week look like a totally different team. You think even if you've lost the team to some degree, even players don't want to play on a team that's a sinking ship. I mean, they just don't. Does that mean they're going to play like they gave up again this week? Maybe. But you're playing a team that's in a similar boat. The Broncos, they're okay defensively. They're 4th in the league, so I guess they're better than okay. They can't stop the run. They're mediocre against the run. What are they going to do? They're going to blitz the hell out of Spencer Rattler. So if Alvin Kamara doesn't show up again, then we got a real problem. Taylor DeMarco says Raiders fired McDaniels last year and went on a roll with Antonio Pierce. Could be similar to that situation if Rizzi was named head coach. What would you call on a roll? The Raiders suck right now. The Raiders didn't learn a lesson. I have no problem with Antonio Pierce. I don't have any problem with him whatsoever. I think that he could be a good coach. But if you're the Raiders, the Raiders should have been saying, you know what, we need to completely overhaul this team. Did they? No. They went out and got a not very good backup quarterback to come play quarterback and kept Aiden O'Connell in there. They should have done whatever they needed to do to get a quarterback. What did they do? They got like these 2 stud tight ends. That doesn't mean a damn thing if you can't run the ball and can't throw the ball. Other than that, they got 2 great tight ends. You just traded Devontae Adams. Adam, I think we're poorly coached. Probably are. Too many injuries. What are you? Rattler ain't it. You preach it to the choir, brother. Douglas Thornton, Saints season has been the exact same the past 3 to 4 seasons. Yeah. They'll end the season 8 or 9 wins. I think it's going to be 7. So what's the purpose? I don't know. I'm not saying that you're wrong about what they should do. I'm just telling you what they are going to do. Go ahead. Share that one again. I'm sorry I didn't see it. Michael Northwick says the best cornerback might not play either. Their best cornerback. Yeah. And their offensive line is just as bad as the Saints right now. Is Miller active? Kendra Miller active tomorrow? He played. I think so. I think he should play tomorrow. Yes. I don't know for sure, but I think yes. Do I think the players will be fired up against Sean Payton? I don't think the players give a rat's ass that it's Sean Payton. You think about how many players were even on this team when Sean Payton was coaching the Saints. It's not a ton. Cam Jordan's done. He doesn't care. Demario Davis, I don't think it fires him up to go beat Sean Payton. I think that's more of a fans thing, more of a upper management thing. So no, I don't think it makes a difference to them. Tomorrow we're going to talk Sean Payton and Dennis Allen. I promise. I didn't even mean to talk a lot about coaching today. It just kind of came up. When McCoy and Taysom come back, I think the fans will see a difference each makes. The problem is Taysom, even though Taysom could come back in a limited role this week, Taysom's not going to be himself for a little bit. And Eric McCoy's still not coming back for another close to a month. There you go. Jacques, 18 players left from Peyton's time. You read it yesterday. Well, if you read it, got to be true. I'm not making fun of you. But it's somewhere around there. Okay. Jacques says he's a fan of the 70s. Like me, never underestimate the ability of the bad Saints teams like this one to lose the ones they should win in new, creative, and heartbreaking ways. They shouldn't take the Broncos lightly. I don't know why. I'll give you another glimpse into myself. I'm a sicko, okay? I mean, you knew this already. But I've spent like the last two games, I couldn't watch Sunday's game. So what have I done? I've gone back and watched like old Saints games. I watched part of the Saints-Eagles playoff game from 92, the 92 season, 93. The one where they had a 17-7 lead and they had to give it up more. This is a true story. If you didn't know this, if you're young and don't know this, the 92 Saints, maybe the best Saints defensive team ever. They did not allow more than 21 points in any game the entire regular season. So they go in a wild card game and never won a playoff game before and still didn't after that one. Had a 17-7 lead and Randall Cunningham was getting stuffed. They couldn't do anything. And then Bobby Hebert threw a pick in the red zone, and that emptied the flood zones, and the Eagles went on and won 36-20. But I went back and watched that game. I watched Big Ben from 1978. I go back and watch old games. You can find it whatever you want on YouTube. It's amazing. You can even find me on YouTube. Randall says the Dome Patrol is the Saints' best Saints defense. It's not only the Saints' best defense, best group of linebackers I've ever seen together, ever. Kramer says that's true. Great defensive team that year. 92 was the best. My friend Lil 60. Do you think Peyton will offer DA a defensive coordinator job after the game tomorrow night? I think that if Dennis Allen got fired, absolute. I don't know about DC, but Peyton seems, for a guy that left for greener pastures, he sure does want he's like signing all the leftovers from this. He's taking all the crap that we dump. How bad do you have to be to take the crap that we're dumping on the curb? UBN, Kamara's going to be playing for Peyton next year. Who cares? Kamara doesn't play week to week. He plays when he wants to. Sorry, it's true. I know there's a lot of AK lovers out there, but you tell me you want to talk about somebody who's half-assed it the past 2 weeks. Look no further than AK-41. You don't come, and I know he's been banged up, and I don't give a damn. Doesn't matter. I'm just saying. We got to talk about defense. And again, this is all part of it. I mean, y'all keep bringing up the coach, and it's true, and it's part of Dallas. But how bad has this defense been? I got some numbers typed up. To me, at least recent times, not going to go back to the 70s and look up the bad defenses back then. I'm not going to even look up the bad defense. Some of the defenses in the late 90s, and they had some bad defenses then, Ditka years. To me, the most recent horrible, horrendous, historically bad defenses this team has had not that long ago, 2014, 2015. Remember Rob Ryan? Remember Sean Payton brought DA back after he was coached with the Raiders? He brought DA back for multiple reasons. He brought DA back because he knew he was going to fire Rob Ryan at some point and promote Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator. And not only that, he has such an ego that he knew he was making his hand-picked successor, which he did. That's how big that Sean Payton's ego is. It's still bigger than that. It doesn't matter that his team sucks. It doesn't matter that Bo Nix is never going to be a great NFL quarterback, but he's a whisperer. He's a quarterback whisperer, and he's going to turn him into something. Forget all that. I'm off on a tangent. Point is, 2014 and 2015, historically bad defenses here for the Saints team. Remember those terrible defenses? Remember Brandon Browner? Remember that goofball? What the hell did they bring him? Brandon Browner played well. Really? Shut up, Peyton. This Saints defense right now is playing worse than that one. What are you talking about, Jim Derry? The 2014 and 2015 teams that were historically bad. You put two seasons together, and I promise you can't find two worse defensive units to put together from one franchise than this 14 and 15. And those teams, they gave up 460 or more yards 4 times each all season. Means 8 times over the course of 2 seasons. 4 times each season. 4 times. This Saints team has already done it 3 times. After giving up 193 total yards to Carolina. Woo! Told you this defense was good. Then people kind of forgot about it the next week because the Saints kicked the Cowboys' ass. They didn't even look at the stats. They gave up 353 to Dallas, which isn't very good. It's not terrible, but it's not very good. Then they gave up 460 to Philly, but people forget about it because Derek Carr put him in position to win the game, and then the defense sucked. Should have been 3-0. The next week they played better. They gave up 315 to a good Atlanta team. Derek Carr put him in position to win, and the defense choked again. But don't say that. And how about the last 2 weeks? 460 to Kansas City again, another 460, and 594 to Tampa Bay. 3 times this season already. We're only going into week 7. 3 out of 6 games, the Saints have given up more than 460 or more yards. They only did it 4 times each in 14 and 15. They've done it 3 times already. The 594 yards, if you didn't hear me say it the other day, the second worst in the history of this average at best franchise. But yet people want to bitch about Derek Carr and whatever else. It's defense, man. How bad can this team play? Taylor, that's perfect comment. Hard to believe this defense is worse than the Bountygate year with Spagnuolo. They are. And then they brought in Rob Ryan, and that defense was worse. And this defense might even be worse than that. UBN, 594 yards. Baker with 3 interceptions. They cracked 650 with no interceptions. I don't know. Adam Varnus' Carr doesn't play defense. They said Rattler was a save. Look, and I'm not trying to fire up the base here this morning. I'm really not. I'm just saying. Said Rattler was a savior. I think he has a repeat performance tomorrow. Somebody asked me what I thought was my prediction for tomorrow. I'll save it for tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not rooting for him to be bad. I think he'll be okay, honestly. What scares me about where Spencer Rattler is tomorrow, Vance Joseph is licking his chops. And if you don't know who Vance Joseph is, defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos, who used to be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, who used to be the quarterback of the Colorado Buffaloes, who used to be the quarterback of the Archer Shaw Eagles. Just saying. We went to the same school. Vance Joseph's a smart dude. But all kidding aside, he's licking his chops. 4th-ranked defense. If you remember, we showed you the Bucks were just okay defensively. That's right, Ty. Shaw Eagle. I'm just saying he's waiting. Do I think Rattler will play well? I think he'll be all right. I think he will play better, actually, because I think he's got a week to know what's coming now. If he doesn't do better this week, then that ain't good for him, because You can look like a deer in the headlights because you don't 100% know what's coming, but now you know what's coming. And the fact that there's a good chance he gets Lucas Patrick back, that'll help. And if he gets Lucas Patrick back, maybe you put Patrick at center and you leave the center that they got out the practice squad from the Jets. I forgot his name. Anyway, maybe he plays center. We'll see what they do. Ruiz isn't coming back. The problem is, more than anything, for Spencer Rattler. Again, things we'll get in tomorrow with Larry. But Spencer Rattler is going to have to play without Olave and probably Shaheed. Neither one of them practiced yet. Olave's definitely not playing. Shaheed, I don't know. I'm not sure whether he's a player or not. He didn't practice. So if the O-line gets a little bit healthier and Taysom plays, that will help take some of the pressure off the Rat. We'll see. Yeah, it means Bub Means is probably going to play a lot again. But here's my question back to the defense, though. This is what bothers me. Out of all the defensive, there was a reason why I highlighted when you saw the previous slide, and we're talking about what's coming up on the show, and I'll show it again. There's a reason why I highlighted Chase Young right there and asked where the hell the defense is going. There's a reason why I highlighted Chase Young. The Fanboy podcast, I'm not making this up. If you really want to know, you can email me and I'll send you a link to the show. The Fanboy podcast before the season. They were betting that Chase Young was going to have I think it was 13 sacks. It was either 12 or 13. And that he looked so great in training camp. You know why he looked so great in training camp? He was going up against this offensive line. That's why he looked so great. You know what Chase Young's done the first 6 weeks of the season? Collected a paycheck. If there's anybody out there that's just playing to collect a paycheck, I'm starting to think it's Chase Young. Larry Tank Gibson wants to know how you salvage a pass rush at this point. Oh, you just pray they don't double team Granderson because he's the only one that gives a damn. Now, I think the DT, both Shepard and Saunders, I think, and Brisset are actually playing their hearts out. But you can't, it's tough to generate a pass rush from the inside when the outside's doing nothing. Tom and Wendy Burris, Young is a complete disappointment. Chase Young is this year's Jarris Bird. Another excellent Mickey Loomis phrase. Don't forget, Sean Payton had his hand in Jarris Bird. Just saying. Adam Varner, Young wasn't good. Brisset and Granderson are indeed. I think Brisset is, there aren't a whole lot of shining stars for the future. Brisset, I was wrong about him. I didn't like him as a first round pick last year. He's turning into a stud. I said that in preseason. I'll say it again. You miss Onyemata, Nick Chasson. Yeah, I guess we did. Here's some stats for Chase Young. Through 6 games now, $13 million. This is what $13 million gets you, boys and girls. 16 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Let's see. The Saints are 1/3 of the way through the season. I could tell you that 1/3 of 13 is what? 4.33333333. So for $4.3 million, you get a sack and a half. You give me $4.3 million, I'm not sure how my old fat ass would do it, but I'll find a way to get you a sack and a half. I'll crawl between some dude's legs. I'll punch Bo Nix in the nuts. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it. For $4.33333 million, I'm going to find a way to get you a sack and a half, my friend. Meanwhile, Brian Brisset has 4 sacks. Alontae Taylor had 3 in the first game. He's a defensive back. 8 Saints players have more tackles right now than Chase Young, including Anthony Orji, who was inactive for at least 1 game, I think 2. UBN says Chase Young quit on the Super Bowl contending 49ers. What do you think he's gonna do on a bad team? How's that dude gonna get paid next year? You know what? There are a lot of stupid teams out there. The Jets will probably pay his ass. It won't be the Saints. They won't have the money to pay him anyway. But this is what happens when you, and look, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I sat here in May or July, June or July or whenever it was, and we had a show. I think we had almost the whole show on Chase Young. And I thought it was a decent signing for 13 million. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I thought it was a good signing. I thought he would come in and play his ass off and try and make this team better. But I was wrong. And he's a half-ass. And I'm sorry. That's what he is right now. And if I run into him on the field tomorrow night and he approaches me and bops me on the head, then I won't be here on Friday. But that's what it is. Tell it the way that I think it is. All right, time to start wrapping it up as we get to the hour and 6 minute mark. Adam Cam will retire as a Saint. Yeah, it's about that time. I love Cam, and I've said this before. He's earned the right to retire when he wants to, but I got to hope that 1-2 is pretty soon. McGovern is the center. You're right, Gabe. Couldn't remember the center's name. The guy they got off the practice squad from the Jets. But look, I'm going to say this, and there are still multiple teams I would rather be. Let's see, how do I put this with wording it the correct way? There are still, if I got to pick the Saints, there are multiple teams behind them that I would rather not be, I guess I should say. I would still rather be the Saints than the Seahawks. I still would rather be the Saints than the Jaguars. I still would rather be the Saints than the Patriots. I still would rather be the Saints than, yes, the Broncos. Tomorrow we're going to get into a little bit, and I'm going to ask Larry. Part of this problem, we could sit here and blame Browns. Yep, there you go. There's another one. And I like Kevin Stefanski. Tomorrow we're going to ask this question of Larry. And I want y'all to be prepared for it too, because I want you to ask the question. We could sit here and dog on Dennis Allen all we want. I don't really even necessarily blame Dennis Allen for even half the problems, because Dennis Allen was hired, but he wasn't just hired. Panthers, there you go. There's another one. I'm going to say that Rams, I don't think Rams. Rams they've got a really, really good coach in there. I think they're actually going in the right direction. They got to replace Aaron Donald still. Don't show those anymore, because I got to get a thought out here. You know how I am with thoughts. I'm easily scatterbrained. No question about it. But when it comes to this team, back to what I was saying about Dennis Allen, Mickey Loomis didn't pick Dennis Allen. Now, you're saying, well, who did? If it wasn't Mickey Loomis. Sean Payton left this franchise in a position to where they were in panic mode. He didn't leave this team. He didn't give any inkling whatsoever that he was even thinking about leaving. He walked up on a January morning after he got frustrated because this wasn't the same Saints team of the past. Probably did his best coaching job, actually, to take that 2021 team and make them 9-8. I have no idea how he made that team 9-8. I said it then, I'll say it now. I will also say this. You could say blasphemy all you want, but I think Sean Payton is overrated. I really do. Highly overrated. With the talent that the Saints teams had, you can't tell me that they shouldn't have won more than one Super Bowl. You can't tell me that they should have ever had back-to-back-to-back 7-9 seasons. Ever. Bountygate. NFL tried to screw the Saints. Get out of here. Saints created their own mess. Regardless, all that aside, we could talk about that some tomorrow. But I just want you to think about this. Dennis Allen is here. Dennis Allen's the head coach of this team, not because of Mickey Loomis, not because of Gail Benson, not because of Tom Benson. Dennis Allen's here because of Sean Payton. And Sean Payton left this team in a lurch, gave them no inkling whatsoever that he was leaving. They probably had a clue that it may happen at some point in the next couple of years. But they had no inkling that it was going to happen then. And just as a coach or a player who earns his right to quit when he wants, at the same time, have some decency to give a heads up and not walk into your boss's office and say, you know what? I got me a hot girlfriend and I think I'm going to go live on a boat for a year and come back fat and happy. Because that's what happened. And Mickey Loomis was like, what? Don't worry, you got Dennis Allen. Now, should they have done a search? Yeah, they had time to do a search, I guess. But the almighty Sean Payton had basically declared that Dennis Allen was going to be the coach. Just saying it. That's what happened. You want to know what happened? So and this kind of leads into, this is my heads up for tomorrow. And I don't think Larry's going to agree with me because for some reason, most of the media, especially the ones that cover, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I know my friend Jeff Duncan thinks that Sean Payton is probably one of the top 3 or 4 coaches to ever coach this game. That's insanity. Sean Payton is one of the most overrated coaches ever. Was he a phenomenal offensive mind? Yeah, to some extent. But he also was a stubborn mofo. You know those games where he had these plays with Gabe Henderson was going to run around the end and he had made this beautiful play that worked so great in practice that everyone was cheering and he was bound and determined to use it in a game. Then it went for -6 yards when the Saints had like a 3rd and 1. Yeah. Good coaches don't do that crap. You know all those crappy drafts Saints had? That wasn't Mickey Loomis. That was Sean Payton. Sure, he had the 17 draft with Kamara. That was him. You got to take the good and the bad. But Sean Payton didn't want to rely on his scouts. Sean Payton knows more than everybody. Sean Payton always, for his entire life, has always known more than anyone else in the room except Bill Parcells. We could talk about it tomorrow. But I think part of the reason why the Saints are in this mess. Now, don't get me wrong. If you go a certain amount of time and you keep kicking cans and you saw what you saw for 2 years and Dennis Allen probably can't handle it and you got the easiest schedule in maybe a generation and you go 9-8 and you don't make the playoffs after you sign a $40 million a year quarterback, that's on you. Probably should have let him. So that's not Sean Payton's fault. That's definitely Mickey Loomis's fault. But there's a big chunk of why the Saints are in this position. It's because of the man that's coming back to this dome and is going to be cheered and revered on Thursday. Oh my God, if only the Saints still had Sean Payton. Well, if only the Saints still had Sean Payton, they'd probably still be going 7-10 this year. I don't know who the quarterback would be. It wouldn't be Derek Carr because he's not Sean Payton's kind of quarterback. Oh, some of you would be happy. No, you'd be trashing whoever Sean Payton signed to be Derek Carr. I don't know who it would be. Whoever it is, you'd be Jared Goff probably. Whoever. You're trashing him too. Because he ain't Drew Brees. Anyway. It's frustrating. What changes if the Saints win this game and go 3-4? That's one of the questions we're going to ask tomorrow. Does it change? It's not going to change anyone's opinion, I don't think. Because honestly, this is a really good chance. The line, although the line is still -2.5 this morning, the money line kind of shifted back towards the Saints a little bit. Michael, you're absolutely right. How things would have been different if Mahomes, if Andy Reid, now that's a coach. If Andy Reid hadn't jumped ahead of the Saints because Mahomes was going to be a Saint, no question about it. Sean Payton was licking his chops. Well, no. Let's give that up. John Gruden's not going to be. Well, you know what? I won't put anything out of the realm of possibility. But Mahomes could have been a Saint if Andy Reid doesn't jump ahead. And if Drew Brees retires And after the no call, which is when he should have retired, Tom Brady's here. Just saying. Saints win at least one Super Bowl, maybe two. Just saying. All right. We got a lot to talk about tomorrow. I got a lot to ask Larry. But that's kind of a preview of where tomorrow is going to go. Before we wrap it up, because I do want to wrap it up with a note about the Pelicans. We told you earlier, we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family or privately owned business, family run or privately owned business, say that 10 times fast, what it might be worth and whether it's time to sell. You got to find out what it's worth first. How do they do it? Well, after their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from established private equity funds from around the world. And they will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. And then they'll teach you how to get a sack and a half and make $4.3333333 million. Maybe they won't do that. I don't know. But sure would be fun. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. Very few companies like them in this area, none, with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed and ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. It ain't Spencer Rattler. It ain't Bo Nix. It ain't Sean Payton. It ain't Dennis Allen. It ain't the New Orleans Saints. It's the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Did Reed trade up to get Mahomes? He most certainly did. If I remember correctly, Gabe, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he moved up to 11th. The Saints, I think, were about to pick either 12th or 13th or something like that. David, why not trade up for Mahomes if you wanted him so bad? You know, that's a good question because Lord knows he traded up a lot because he probably thought he was going to get him and he was just sitting there eating the pork chops and licking his fingers, waiting. I'm about to get Patrick Mahomes. And Andy Reid said, no, you're not. Still regrets that one. 10th. He went 10th. Or as my daughter would have said back when she was 3, 10th. 10th. Oh, birthday's August 10th. I digress. All right. I'm going to wrap it up for today. First, again, I want to give you a little note, and I got to go to this box here. Talk a little bit about the Pelicans, and I know a lot of you have heard this, but my good friend Trey Folse, former superintendent of St. Tammany Schools, now works for the State Board of Education. That's not important. The important part is he's a friend of mine. Texted me, sent me some information that I did think was important, that I thought you would find interesting, because I know that where I live here in Mandeville, it is going to be nearly impossible unless I want to go build and put an antenna on my roof, which I don't, and then find a way to run it to multiple TVs, which I don't, to get it OTA, Channel 7. I know we've been seeing it on Fox 8. My friends at Fox 8 keep showing us and telling how it's available to 4 million people. Well, maybe technically. And by the way, yes, we did pick Lattimore at 11. I would have much rather had Mahomes. Just saying. But anyway, there's another option if you're interested in watching the Pelicans. And they did not pay me to say this. I think it's a public service announcement because I'm interested. I thought you would be interested as well. Regular season starts a week from today, next Wednesday. It's Chicago Bulls. The Pels, you see their Pels futures odds. You're right. Kramer, you can watch them on Fubo. I don't have Fubo, and I'm not interested in getting Fubo. I have YouTube TV. Shameless plug. I love YouTube TV, and I would never switch. At least, I can't say never, because I thought I would never switch from DirecTV, and then they got crappy, and so I switched from them. But anyway, I digress again for about the 8th time today. If you can't use your antenna to get the Pelicans, if you can't reach Channel 7, or if you live in another area and you want to get the Pelicans, you can get them at watch.pelicans.com. Now, there are, let me put my glasses on real quick. I don't know. You have to still be in a Pelicans viewing area. So if you live in like Dallas, I think you still can't get them. There are rules. In fact, hold on real quick. I'm going to do this on the air. Here we go. Here's some facts that you should know. There are 70 local games on this Pelicans Plus. That's what this is. It's $99 a season, but you still have to live within a 150-mile radius of the Smoothie King Center. Okay? Which you might want to check into that because I think you can still get it like in I think you still get it in North Louisiana. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, check into it and see if you can do it. It supports a bunch of different devices. You can either get it for $14.99 a month, which is kind of silly. I think you would just do it for the season, right? 15, I don't know. Well, maybe it is cheaper to do it monthly. I don't know. And then cancel. Then you got to remember to cancel it. It's either $15 a month or $100 for the year. And you get also on-demand Pelican games and other exclusive content. So anyway, you can get it on Roku. My new friend Kramer is saying you can get it on Fubo. I know that. So there you go. Watch.pelicans.com. You can check it out and tell me what you think. I am probably going to sign up for it. I liked it better. Look, the Bally's app was terrible, but it was cheap. So if this app works better, I don't know. I'm going to give some love to the Pels. We haven't talked Pels at all. If the Saints really start stinking, we may, who knows? Maybe we'll get into it later. Gabe brings up an interesting point. The Saints picked 11th that year when the Chiefs jumped up to 10th. Take Mahomes. Saints picked 11th. The Texans took Deshaun Watson with the 12th pick. Interesting that he was willing to take Mahomes with Bree and piss Breeze off, but not willing to piss Breeze off with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was actually good in the beginning before he started getting all his massages, but that's a whole different story. You never know what Happy Fingers is going to do to you. I'm just saying. All right, that is going to wrap it up for us on this Wednesday. It was a Mono E Wednesday. I want to thank all of you. You were today's guests. We thank you for being a part of the show, as always, being a part of the Dattitude family. Of course, our BFF, our resident Houstonian, our Texans fan, Gabe Henderson, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes today. We hope you can join us tomorrow. We will welcome in Larry Holder. We'll also have our official picks. I will make a pick that may or may not surprise you. We're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow's cover, I promise you, will be involved. It will involve coaching. Just say that. I've not done it yet. I've got a VSN game to do tonight. The pink game. Look, this is no BS. If you're watching this and you're subscribed to VSN, Varsity Sports Now, which I do play-by-play for mostly this time of year, I'm mostly doing football, but I do some volleyball. And this will be, I think, the 4th year in a row I'm doing the Mount Carmel Dominican pink game. Don't laugh. Let me tell you, the enthusiasm from this volleyball game every year is absolutely insane. I wouldn't sit here and even talk about it if it wasn't. It beats almost any male sport situation that I've been in except for a state championship. It is incredible. The girls will be everywhere and they'll be so loud. Thank God I have these on because you can't really hear without them. And I can't even hear my color analyst. I think today it's Abby Alonso who played at Mount Carmel. She'll be sitting next to me. It's crazy. Just turn it. If you got VSN, turn it on for a few minutes and watch a part of it. I'll tell you, it is a lot of fun. So that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. Then I'll come home and prepare for tomorrow's show. Then we got the game tomorrow night. I'll be on Saints Insider after the game tomorrow night. I'll probably have a short here for you. Then we'll be back at it with Mono E Friday. We got a crazy rest of the week here. I know you're going to be part of it all. If you haven't already done so, I know most of you have. By the way, if you haven't given us a like yet today, please do so. Oh. Nope. Not working, Gabe. Oh. I'm trying. Inside joke. You can always receive notifications when we go on the air live, which is Monday through Friday, except for Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Time. You can also find us after the fact on the same YouTube channel. You have access to all of our shorts. We do those on TikTok as well. And you can also find us wherever you get your podcast, including Apple, Spotify, many more. You can find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. You can find Gabe's work and my NFL picks column on bet.nola.com and all of the Saints insider stuff on NOLA.com/Saints. We will see you, I don't know, in about 22 and a half hours with Larry Holder. Go outside and enjoy this beautiful, beautiful weather, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.